In this lesson, we're going to go over fractional equations. So this is really just an equation involving fractions, but it's algebra, so it's going to be a little complicated. So for example, we could have 4 over x plus 2 over 6 equals 5 over x. Let's go back to regular fractions for a second. Do a little side note. If we had to add 1/2 and 1/3, we would need a common denominator. We can't just add it the way it is. Well, the common denominator for this would be 6. So in order to change the denominators to 6, for the 1/2 we have to multiply it by 3, and of course multiply the numerator by 3 also. For 1/3 we have to multiply by 2, denominator and numerator. So we would get 3 over 6 plus 2 over 6. We're going to use a similar concept for solving fractional equations. So what we're going to do first is find the least common denominator. So the least common multiple of x and 6. And of course x, but they're both the same. So in this case, the LCD is 6x. So I'm going to rewrite the equation so we have a little bit more space. Okay, but now instead of getting a least common denominator and still having fractions, we're just going to multiply everything by the least common denominator. So we're going to multiply this by 6x, by 6x, and by 6x. When we do that, things are going to cancel out, and it's not going to be a fractional equation anymore. It's going to be a regular equation. So here we have 6 times x times 4. The x's cancel out. So we just have 6 times 4, which is 24. In the second term, we have 6 times x times 2 divided by 6. Here the 6's cancel out. So we just have x times 2, which is 2x. And on this side equal sign we have 5 times 6 times x, all divided by x. And again the x's cancel out. So we just have 5 times 6, which is 30. And now we solve this like a regular equation. 24 plus 2x equals 30. We want to isolate the x. We could draw a line. So we have to subtract 24 from both sides. Again, we're doing inverse operations. So we have to do order of operations in reverse as well. So we have 2x left equals 6. Just divide by 2. And we get that x equals 3. So for fractional equations, we're going to find the least common denominator, but we're not going to manipulate them to have a common denominator. What we're going to do instead is multiply each term by the least common denominator so that the denominator of each term cancels out. Here the x canceled out, the 6 canceled, and this x canceled, and we ended up with a new equation, which we just solved for x.